Simone Biles did not expect that after securing her legacy as the greatest gymnast on earth, her toughest battle in 2026 would take place far from the Olympic spotlight inside the silent walls of her brand new Texas estate. Under the radiant sunset of spring Texas, her custom-built waterfront sanctuary looks like the ultimate monument to a multi-million-dollar corporate empire. But just months after moving into this sprawling fortress, a sudden medical emergency caught her completely isolated, proving that even a $25 million shield cannot protect you when your own body decides to rebel. This is not the story of the medals you saw hanging around her neck in Paris. This is an exclusive look inside the hidden machinery of her new life, a carefully engineered reality where elite athletic discipline collisions with high-stakes corporate maneuvering, an unconventional marriage structure, and a terrifying health crisis that changed everything. By staying with us until the final moments of this investigation, you will discover the private tactical alliance between Biles and her NFL husband, Jonathan Owens, the exact blueprint she used to break away from traditional sports sponsors to build her own independent wealth, and the silent warning signs that currently threaten her potential return for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games. If you want to understand how the ultra-wealthy truly navigate power, survival, and the grueling cost of unmatched success, make sure to subscribe to Founder Life right now and hit the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the world's most powerful empires. To fully grasp the magnitude of the architecture surrounding her today, we have to look past the crisp white walls and modern lines of her new home and realize that every single square foot of this property was designed to escape a past that almost broke her. The quiet lakeside views conceal a complex network of security, personal recovery suites, and private business hubs designed to transition a sports icon into a corporate tycoon. But as the doors locked shut in the summer of 2026, the silence she fought so hard to achieve became her greatest trap. The modern lines of the custom-built mansion in Spring, Texas stand less like a traditional home and more like an architectural fortress designed to keep the outside world at bay. For someone who spent her childhood moving through the cold and uncertain hallways of the foster care system, this property represents the ultimate manifestation of control. When Simone Biles purchased her first piece of land here in 2020, a modest 4-bedroom house on a little over an acre, it was a practical choice close to her roots. But as her personal brand evolved into a global corporate empire following the historic pressure of the Paris 2024 Olympics, her spatial needs shifted completely. She and her husband, Jonathan Owens, made the calculated decision to cut ties with Chicago permanently, investing millions into a custom waterfront mega mansion that serves as a literal shield for her mental and physical rehabilitation. Every single angle of this property was engineered to maximize isolation while maintaining absolute luxury. The exterior design utilizes crisp white stucco walls contrasted by dark, imposing roof lines and massive black-framed windows. This contemporary aesthetic gives the structure the appearance of a modern compound rising directly from the edge of a scenic, private lake. Large stone terraces seamlessly connect the primary living areas to a resort-style outdoor space where the centerpiece is an expansive infinity pool detailed with intricate patterned tiles. To the casual observer, it is an influencer's paradise. But underneath the surface, it is a highly secured ecosystem built to minimize the psychological toll of global fame. Step inside the massive glass pivot doors, and the layout reveals a complex spatial blueprint divided into highly specialized zones. The lower level is dedicated entirely to high-performance recovery, daily operations, and domestic security. Bright white walls and pale wood flooring run throughout the open floor plan, catching the natural light pouring in from soaring ceilings and oversized windows. Large glass pocket doors can slide completely into the walls, erasing the boundary between the interior living room and the lakefront terraces. This design ensures that even while completely hidden from the public eye, Biles can experience an artificial sense of boundless space. The kitchen functions as the commercial heart of the main floor, detailed with high-end tray ceilings, custom floor-to-ceiling cabinetry, and bold gold accents. A dramatic black and white marble backsplash runs along the walls, matching a massive waterfall island that commands the center of the room. Equipped with premium commercial appliances and hidden storage pantries, this space allows Biles to maintain complete autonomy over her nutritional routines away from team facilities. Every detail is polished, deliberate, and expensive, a stark contrast to her early memories of food scarcity, where she once watched neighbors feed a local cat while she went hungry. Moving deeper into the private quarters reveals the true depth of her investment in self-preservation. The primary bathroom operates as an elite private spa, entirely clad in floor-to-ceiling marble finishes and geometric gray and white floor tiles. It features oversized custom mirrors, a massive walk-in steam shower with brass fixtures, and a deep freestanding soaking tub, strategically positioned beneath a large frosted glass window that overlooks the quiet lake. This room is not about vanity, it is a sanctuary for physical therapy and quiet contemplation, a place where a heavily taxed body can hide from the physical degradation of elite sports. Even the layout of the upper level shifts away from traditional residential design to focus on self-contained entertainment and executive workflow. It features a state-of-the-art home theater, a gaming suite, a custom wet bar, and a private high-tech office where Biles manages her expanding corporate holdings. A sprawling balcony extends from this level, offering uncompromised, panoramic views of the water below. This structure allows Biles to host close friends, family, and business partners entirely within her own walls, eliminating the need to navigate public venues where security risks and intense scrutiny are guaranteed. The domestic warmth of this sleek, stark environment is anchored by her two French bulldogs, Lilo and Rambo. Understanding the emotional grounding her pets provide, Biles integrated a specialized, custom dog suite directly into the home's layout. This pet-centric room is furnished with miniature colorful sofas, plush custom rugs, and automated climate control, connecting seamlessly to a dedicated mudroom equipped with built-in washing and feeding stations. It is an extraordinary level of detail that highlights her desire to curate an environment where every living thing under her roof is protected from outside stress. The active outdoor zones further demonstrate how her professional habits are woven directly into her private sanctuary. The property features a full-length regulation basketball court and a massive in-ground trampoline positioned on the edge of the lawn overlooking the lake. Social media clips often show her performing casual, gravity-defying flips on this trampoline, making it look like simple recreation. In reality, these installations serve as low-impact tools to maintain spatial awareness and muscle memory without the brutal, repetitive impact of a standard gymnastics facility. The wooden privacy fences and advanced perimeter camera systems ensure that these private training moments remain entirely unseen. Yet, as perfect as this fortress appears on paper, its very design isolates her from the rest of the world. By building a self-contained world that handles everything from physical therapy to corporate enterprise, Biles has effectively removed the need to step outside. The mansion is a physical manifestation of her success, but it also underscores a deeper reality. When you reach the absolute pinnacle of global fame, the only place left to find peace is inside a gilded fortress of your own making. And as the events of 2026 would soon prove, when a crisis strikes within those walls, the silence of isolation can quickly turn dangerous. The sleek concrete driveway of Simone Biles' brand new custom mansion in Spring, Texas, serves as a literal timeline of her financial ascension, a visual exhibition of how an elite athlete can transform raw physical dominance into a sprawling luxury empire. To the casual fan tracking her career on social media, the cars parked outside her waterfront estate look like typical status symbols. But to the corporate world, this curated automotive fleet represents a masterclass in public relations and capital allocation. Every vehicle sitting outside her home was selected to mark a specific corporate milestone, a carefully timed transaction that balanced authentic brand relatability with the massive influx of wealth that reshaped her entire lifestyle. The strategy began emerging clearly back in October of 2020, when Biles shared a seemingly casual photograph that would lay the groundwork for her modern branding blueprint. Standing in the driveway of her Texas residence, she posed beside a white Range Rover Evoque convertible, playfully captioning the image with a note recommending the vehicle 12 out of 10 to her millions of followers. What made this moment distinct was her deliberate choice of setting. Rather than showcasing the luxury convertible outside a high-end boutique or an exclusive country club, she positioned it directly against the backdrop of her suburban home. It was an intentional move that established a highly grounded, accessible public persona at a critical transition point in her professional life, proving that she could possess elite luxury while remaining entirely connected to her audience. But by the time the summer of 2024 arrived, the scale of her wealth had expanded beyond traditional boundaries. Following her historic, dominant performance at the Paris Olympic Games, where she secured 3 gold medals and a silver, Biles decided to completely overhaul her automotive lineup. In a highly publicized move, she retired her older, matte black SUV and upgraded to a brand new, white Mercedes-Benz G-Class, valued at over $150,000. This commanding luxury vehicle was custom engineered to reflect her status as a global icon, featuring a bold, contrasting black front grille matching black performance wheels, a protective bull bar, and a striking custom red leather interior. When she documented the acquisition online, posing confidently on the hood of the bow-clad vehicle with a luxury Prada purse resting in the passenger seat, the message was unmistakable. The era of modest suburban relatability had officially evolved into an era of unchecked global success. Tucked alongside the heavy European luxury vehicles sits a completely different expression of power, her deep black Dodge Challenger SRT. This American muscle car represents a sharp departure from the sterile prestige of traditional luxury SUVs, offering a glimpse into a faster, more aggressive side of her personal taste. To soften the vehicle's intimidating track-ready presence, Biles once again used her driveway as a canvas for public engagement, posing next to the high-performance machine while wearing a pastel pink outfit inspired by popular internet pop culture trends. It was a calculated juxtaposition, using a vehicle known for raw, unbridled horsepower to showcase a light-hearted, relaxed day away from the grueling constraints of competitive training. Yet, the true crown jewel of her garage, the ultimate indicator of her transition into the upper echelons of corporate wealth, is undoubtedly her Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Standing as one of the most prestigious and recognizable ultra-luxury sports utility vehicles on Earth, the Cullinan features world-class cabin insulation, bespoke architectural styling, and an unparalleled road presence that commands instant authority. Posing proudly beside this vehicle wasn't just about showing off an expensive asset, it was a public declaration of financial independence. In an industry where gymnastics rarely yields the massive, guaranteed multi-year player contracts seen in traditional league sports, owning a vehicle of this magnitude proves that Biles has successfully engineered an independent commercial engine that operates completely outside the confines of the gymnastics floor. As her corporate responsibilities and personal commitments intensified throughout 2026, the physical strain of maintaining this empire forced her to alter how she navigates the country altogether. Managing a global brand while simultaneously coordinating travel schedules to align with her husband's active NFL season made commercial aviation an impossible logistical burden. To protect her body from the exhausting physical wear and tear of public airports, Biles began bypassing standard commercial travel entirely, choosing instead to utilize premium private jet charters as needed. This shift toward private aviation became highly apparent during a high-profile Thanksgiving matchup, when the media tracked her arrival in Philadelphia via a private charter plane. She had flown in specifically to support her husband, Jonathan Owens, as his team prepared for a massive Black Friday clash against the reigning Super Bowl champion, Eagles. By opting for private aviation rather than absorbing the astronomical cost and legal liability of owning a depreciating aircraft outright, Biles demonstrated a sharp, corporate mindset. She treats private flight strictly as a utility, a high-efficiency business tool that allows her to seamlessly balance her public appearances, corporate board obligations, and deeply personal family commitments across multiple states without sacrificing her physical recovery. When you look closely at the garage of her Spring, Texas estate, you are looking at something far deeper than a collection of expensive metal and leather. You are looking at a highly strategic asset map, from the accessible Range Rover that built her early digital engagement to the dominant G-Wagon that celebrated her Olympic redemption, and finally, the private jets that ferry her between corporate deals and NFL stadiums. Every single choice serves a distinct purpose. She has transformed her personal transport into an extension of her corporate architecture. But as these luxury vehicles continued to line her driveway in the quiet peace of the Texas lakefront, they also served as a constant reminder of the growing distance between her private reality and the normal world outside her gates. A reality that was about to become infinitely more complicated as her husband's career forced them to restructure the very foundations of their marriage. Beyond the curated automotive fleet and the architectural solitude of their Spring, Texas estate, the most intricate system Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens have had to design is the logistical framework of their own marriage. To the outside observer, they are a modern fairy tale. Two elite athletes who found each other on the celebrity dating app Raya in 2020, leading to a high-profile engagement and a destination wedding in Mexico. But beneath the surface of the magazine covers and the social media posts lies a high-stakes partnership that requires the same level of discipline and strategic planning as their professional careers. This is not merely a romance. It is a professional alliance between two individuals whose success depends on absolute focus, rigorous scheduling, and a constant negotiation of priorities that the average couple never has to confront. The foundation of this alliance was solidified through a series of tactical decisions that prioritize both legal security and personal expression. They didn't just rush into a wedding, they built their union in stages. Following a Valentine's Day proposal in 2022 at Brenner's Steakhouse in Houston, they didn't immediately jet off to a grand ceremony. Instead, they executed a quiet, legal courthouse ceremony in Houston on April 22, 2023, fulfilling the necessary legal obligations before the spectacle. Only then did they proceed to the Nobu Los Cabos Hotel in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, for a destination event that hosted 144 guests. Planned with the precision of a corporate event, the wedding was a masterclass in branding, featuring 4 custom Galia La Havre gowns and a logistical operation that included whale watching during the ceremony, a moment of organic beauty that perfectly framed the highly structured nature of the weekend. But once the wedding festivities faded and the reality of the NFL season returned, the true challenge of their dual-athlete dynamic became clear. The professional landscape of American football is defined by instability, and Jonathan Owens' career has been a testament to that volatility. Over the last few years, he has moved through the league with the professional detachment of a veteran player, transitioning from the Houston Texans to the Green Bay Packers, then to the Chicago Bears, and most recently, signing a 1-year contract with the Indianapolis Colts in March of 2026. Every team change is not just a jersey swap. It is a massive logistical disruption that forces a total realignment of their shared life, their travel schedules, and their proximity to their Texas home base. For most, this level of movement would create chaos. For Biles and Owens, it has become an exercise in maintaining a synchronized rhythm amidst constant external change. While Owens is at mandatory minicamps, training facilities, or away games, Biles is managing her own commercial empire, the Gold Over America Tour, and the rigorous demands of her own physical maintenance. They have had to treat their time together as a finite resource, one that must be optimized with the same intensity Biles applies to a championship routine. This discipline extends into their physical life as well. Biles has been vocal about her disdain for traditional exercise outside of the gym. A logical sentiment for someone who has spent her life performing the most punishing physical tasks imaginable. Yet, in her marriage, she has adopted a new strategy: shared training. Owens occasionally brings Biles to his Pilates and strength conditioning workouts, sessions that are less about her gymnastics training and more about maintaining the shared physical language of their relationship. She participates in his fitness routine not because she seeks to perform, but because she understands that in a high-pressure marriage, the gym is often the only neutral ground where two high-performance professionals can simply exist together without the distractions of the corporate or sporting worlds. The friction between their professional ambitions and their desire for a normal life is palpable. In 2026, as Owens settled into his new role with the Indianapolis Colts, the couple had to navigate the geographic distance between their Texas sanctuary and the reality of the NFL roster. Indianapolis is a city currently defined by its own sports gravity, hosting not just Owens, but also WNBA superstar Caitlin Clark, creating a local sports environment that is intense and unforgiving. The public expectation for a couple of their stature is constant. They are scrutinized, photographed, and analyzed at every turn. Yet, Biles and Owens have developed a method to keep their inner circle closed, using their Texas home as a decompression chamber where the labels of Olympian and NFL safety are discarded in favor of the quiet, domestic reality of their life with their dogs. The complexity of their dynamic is best highlighted by their refusal to succumb to the typical pitfalls of fame. They avoid the red carpet circuit when possible, preferring the solitude of their own design. When they do appear in public, it is often tied to a specific commitment, supporting each other's games, attending necessary brand events, or traveling for their respective professional obligations. They are operating as a tandem, a combined financial and social entity that is significantly more powerful and significantly more exposed than the sum of its parts. Their combined family net worth of $27 million provides the security to make these choices, but it does not remove the stress of their individual careers. Consider the logistical pressure of the 2026 season. Owens is at the 30-year mark of his career, an age where the physical toll of the NFL is at its peak. Every contract, every snap, and every training camp is critical. Biles, meanwhile, is weighing the future of her own competitive legacy, looking at the distant horizon of the Los Angeles 2028 Games. These two trajectories are on a collision course of constant demand. Can they sustain this level of professional alignment while also finding the space to simply be a married couple? The answer lies in the very discipline that defines their public brand. They have treated their marriage like a business acquisition, performed the due diligence, signed the contracts, optimize the operations, and protect the assets. But as the events of June 2026 would eventually reveal, even the most optimized system has a breaking point. No amount of shared Pilates, no amount of strategic contract signing, and no amount of luxury travel can override the biological reality that both Biles and Owens are pushing their bodies to the absolute limit. As they moved deeper into the 2026 calendar, the question was no longer about whether they could continue to perform at this high level, but whether the infrastructure of their marriage could withstand the sudden, unexpected shock of a physical crisis that they were completely unprepared for. The fortress they built in Spring, Texas, was designed to keep the world out, but it could not keep out the physiological reality of the human condition, a truth that was about to hit them with the force of a train. To truly comprehend the scale of Simone Biles' estimated $25 million net worth in 2026, you have to look completely past the traditional revenue models that have governed elite sports for generations. In the world of athletic capitalism, gymnastics has historically been treated as a financial dead end, a discipline where athletes sacrifice their childhoods for a brief moment of Olympic glory every 4 years, only to find themselves reliant on modest local competition prizes or fleeting regional coaching scholarships. Major sports leagues like professional football or basketball are built on the foundation of massive, guaranteed multi-year team contracts that secure a player's generational wealth, regardless of individual performance. But for Biles, the gymnastics floor offered no such safety net, forcing her to engineer an off-the-mat commercial portfolio that generates an astonishing $10 million to $11 million annually entirely on her own terms. This financial engine did not happen by accident. It was the result of a calculated corporate mutiny that shook the sports apparel industry to its absolute core. Following her staggering breakthrough at the 2016 Olympics, Biles quickly became one of the most marketable figures on the planet, initially aligning herself with traditional athletic sponsors like Nike. But by 2021, she realized that the rigid corporate structures governing these sports apparel giants were fundamentally misaligned with her evolving personal brand, which was shifting rapidly toward mental health advocacy, female empowerment, and absolute personal autonomy. In a move that corporate analysts deemed highly risky at the time, Biles severed ties with the world's largest sportswear company to sign a long-term partnership with Gap Incorporated's Athleta. This was not a standard celebrity endorsement deal where an athlete simply wears a logo in exchange for a paycheck. It was a value-based equity play. By partnering with Athleta, Biles secured direct input into product development, collaborating on highly successful capsule collections for the Athleta Girl line before launching her first standalone adult activewear collection in late 2024. This strategy allowed her to transform her athletic capital into sustainable consumer products, establishing a direct commercial pipeline to millions of consumers that operates independently of her competitive schedule. She applied this exact same blueprint to her partnership with GK Elite, designing customizable leotards and replica gymnastics apparel through her proprietary Legacy collection with highly lucrative contract extensions, already locked in through 2029. If you look across the landscape of her 2026 endorsement portfolio, you see a masterclass in brand diversification, with blue-chip partnerships spanning every major sector of global commerce. Her roster includes corporate titans such as Visa, United Airlines, Powerade, Hershey's, Uber Eats, and Kellogg's. Yet, as the millions accumulated, Biles recognized that passive endorsement still left her vulnerable to the shifting whims of corporate marketing departments, prompting her to shift her strategy from celebrity endorser to majority owner and active corporate operator. To achieve this level of financial independence, she launched the Gold Over America Tour, a massive pop concert-style live entertainment showcase that has hit 30 major arenas nationwide. By creating this property, Biles effectively bypassed traditional gymnastics federations, seizing direct ownership of a highly profitable live sports entertainment asset that celebrates world-class athletics while yielding massive ticket and merchandise revenue directly to her personal corporate entity. Then, in February of 2026, the luxury hospitality sector came calling when the prestigious Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group appointed Biles as its first-ever global wellness ambassador. Far from a simple marketing campaign, she began collaborating directly with the group's elite wellness board to co-curate highly exclusive holistic movement, sleep, and meditation programs across their international hotel portfolio, launching the initiative in Milan with custom recovery spa treatments and specialized nutritional programs. Just 1 month later, on March 24, 2026, Biles executed her most aggressive retail expansion to date, officially entering the high-yield airport concession market with the grand opening of her signature restaurant, Taste of Gold. Located inside Terminal A of George Bush Intercontinental Airport in her hometown of Houston, this upscale travel cafe features custom gold artwork honoring her competitive history while serving fast casual culinary concepts to millions of international travelers. By embedding her brand into a major global transit hub, Biles secured a recurring cash flow engine completely detached from her physical presence or athletic performance, anchoring her family's combined $27 million fortune alongside her husband's $2 million NFL asset pool. Yet, this massive accumulation of capital has created a profound, fascinating psychological friction within her public persona. Despite controlling a multi-million-dollar corporate empire, Biles' financial decisions remain deeply haunted by her early childhood experiences with severe food insecurity in the foster care system, a psychological reality that was thrust into the global spotlight in April of 2026. After attending the prestigious Laureus World Sports Awards in Madrid wearing a stunning custom gold-feathered gown, Biles published a viral video expressing genuine shock and outrage over a $23,000 invoice for her styling, makeup, and hair. Her raw public reaction to this lifestyle creep, where she explicitly told her audience she would rather stay home where it is completely free, resonated profoundly with everyday consumers battling global inflationary pressures in early 2026. It revealed a billionaire athlete who, despite possessing the financial leverage to charter private aircraft and construct custom waterfront fortresses, still counts every single dollar with the caution of someone who remembers what it feels like to go hungry. This unique friction is exactly what makes her corporate empire so incredibly resilient. She is simultaneously an untouchable global icon and a highly relatable figure who refuses to be exploited by luxury excess. What do you think about the way Simone Biles has completely rewritten the financial playbook for female athletes by seizing direct ownership of her brand assets? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because we read every single one to understand how our audience views the shifting dynamics of wealth and power. But as the profits from Taste of Gold accumulated and the Mandarin Oriental partnership expanded her global influence, this entire economic machine remained entirely dependent on one fragile, unpredictable foundation: the physical endurance of her own body. The multi-million-dollar contracts, the live arena tours, and the corporate sponsorships were all built on the premise of her unmatched physical dominance. And as the summer heat rolled into Texas in June of 2026, that foundation was about to experience a terrifying physiological shock that would threaten not just her corporate timeline, but her very survival, leaving her completely isolated inside her modern fortress while her husband was miles away in another state. The entire multi-million-dollar economic engine, the real estate fortress, and the global brand partnerships were all operating at peak efficiency until a quiet Tuesday morning in early June 2026, when the physical foundation of Simone Biles' empire suddenly and violently collapsed. For an elite athlete, the body is not just a collection of muscles and bones. It is the primary capital asset of a global corporate entity. But the human heart does not care about corporate timelines, television contracts, or strategic 5-year plans. While her husband Jonathan Owens was hundreds of miles away in Indiana, attending a mandatory minicamp with the Indianapolis Colts, Biles found herself completely alone inside the sprawling, silent rooms of her brand-new Texas sanctuary as her body launched a terrifying internal coup. The crisis began without the dramatic warning signs you might expect before a major medical emergency. There was no sudden physical impact, no torn muscle on a training mat, and no visible injury. Instead, it started with a silent, invisible metric tracking on her wrist, an unusually high resting heart rate that refused to slow down. For a finely tuned Olympic champion whose normal resting pulse is incredibly low due to a lifetime of elite cardiovascular conditioning, a spiking heart rate is a severe physiological red flag. As the numbers climbed to a dangerous 126 beats per minute while she was completely at rest, the overwhelming pressure of tachycardia began to set in. The very architecture of isolation she had built to protect herself from the world suddenly transformed into a dangerous liability. Within those massive, soundproof marble walls, she was completely cut off from immediate help, facing a situation that she would later describe to her millions of followers as one of the scariest experiences of her entire life. Emergency medical intervention was required to stabilize her condition, forcing the world's most decorated gymnast out of her private compound and into a hospital bed. Images later shared on her social media networks showed the stark reality of the situation. Hospital identification bands wrapped around her wrist and medical heart monitors, tracking her erratic vitals. While medical professionals worked to manage the immediate cardiac event, the public fallout was instantaneous, sending shockwaves through the sports and corporate worlds. The incident served as a brutal reminder that behind the untouchable persona of a global icon lies a fragile human baseline that had been pushed far past its biological limits during the intense redemption run of the Paris 2024 Olympics. Once she was discharged and returned to the quiet confines of her Spring, Texas estate, the true psychological and professional reckoning began. This health crisis did not just disrupt her immediate schedule. It completely derailed the highly structured, multi-year timeline required for a potential historic appearance at the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games. Before the medical emergency, Biles had publicly rated her chances of competing in Los Angeles at a cautious 50-50. If she were to pursue a fourth Olympic run, she would be 31 years old by 2028, making her the oldest American female Olympic gymnast to step onto a competitive floor in more than 75 years. To pull off a feat of that magnitude, her longtime elite coach Laurent Landy had already presented her with a rigid, unyielding physical ultimatum, a commitment to at least 2 full years of intensive, high-velocity elite training prior to the opening ceremonies. To match the successful preparation template that carried her through the Paris Games, Biles would need to return to the gym full-time by the late summer or early fall of 2026. Aiming for a competitive return to the arena by the summer of 2027. But a heart rate spike to 126 beats per minute while completely at rest throws that entire trajectory into complete disarray. Physically, Biles has always maintained absolute confidence that her coaching staff can prepare her muscles and joints for elite competition, but the mental and emotional toll is a completely different calculation. Following the conclusion of the Paris Games, her body had literally collapsed from pure, unadulterated physical and psychological exhaustion the moment she stepped back into the Olympic Village. Her current daily routine in 2026 had already shifted away from high-impact elite training, favoring low-impact longevity movements like targeted yoga, advanced Pilates, and extended stretching sessions to let her system heal. The June 2026 cardiac scare arrived as a definitive physiological boundary, a clear warning from her own biology that the path to Los Angeles 2028 cannot be paved with the same brutal self-sacrifice that defined her youth. Every corporate contract she signs, every live arena tour she approves, and every training session she schedules must now pass through a strict new filter of personal survival. She can no longer afford to let the expectations of fans, sponsors, or athletic federations dictate her daily limits. The 2026 health crisis stripped away the illusion of invincibility, leaving her to face a profound question that few elite performers ever learn to answer. How much of your own life are you willing to compromise to maintain a legacy that has already been cemented in history? The medical crisis inside the walls of that Texas compound did not just stop Simone Biles' heart for a terrifying moment, it instantly forced a complete valuation reset on her entire existence. When you have conquered every peak your sport has to offer, when your personal corporate holdings are yielding tens of millions of dollars annually, and when your name is etched into history as a global icon, society tells you that you have won the game of life. But as she sat isolated on her lakeside terrace in the weeks following that emergency, surrounded only by her family and her dogs, the true metric of success became blindingly clear. Success for her is no longer measured by the heavy gold medals stored away in her displays, nor is it calculated by the recurring revenue flowing from her airport restaurant or her luxury hospitality partnerships. The ultimate luxury in 26 is her own autonomy, the hard-won right to protect her body, preserve her health, and dictate her own future completely on her own terms. The countdown toward the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics continues to tick loudly in the background, but the world is no longer looking at an athlete who can be swayed by public pressure or corporate demands. Whether she decides to step back onto that competitive floor at the age of 31 or choose to permanently lock the doors of her training facility to focus on her marriage and her corporate empire, the decision will be hers alone. She has already proven everything there is to prove to the world, and now her only remaining obligation is to herself and the life she is actively building alongside Jonathan Owens. If you want to understand how the world's most powerful icons transition from raw physical performance into true, lasting independent empires, you need to see the moves being made behind closed doors by the families who quietly control global markets. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now to step inside the hidden financial battles and private corporate dynasties that are quietly rewriting the rules of wealth and power across the globe.